Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well. And in this video, we're going to go over the newest iteration of Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time, which I guess the legendary music publication has not updated since like the 2000s, so it's been a bit. Though recently they did, of course, redo their top 500 of all-time albums list, which, we did our own video on that. We had our reactions to that. So I guess it would only seem fitting that they would redo the songs list as well. Going into this, I have to admit I am kind of expecting the same kind of, weird placements and maybe flaws that we saw on the albums list, but I don't know. Maybe this time it'll be slightly different. A better experience. I guess we'll see. I'm hoping to, in this video, highlight some of the weirder and more questionable placements, but also, celebrate some of the ones that I heavily agree with as well. Maybe let's get started, shall we? But quickly first, though, a shout out to our sponsor, good people over at The Ridge, still making these awesome, fantastic, nifty, rugged, metal-plated minimalist wallets that fit nicely in that front pocket. Hit up that link down below, promo code MELON. And you can get 10% off your order. Let's begin. All right, here we have 490 Lil Nas X, Old Town Road. I mean, I guess, you really got to throw the song some respect, regardless of how you feel about it, considering just like how long it ruled the charts. And I myself enjoy the song too, but would I place it above Where Is My Mind by the Pixies? Would I place it above So What by Miles Davis, or even Stronger by Kanye West? Again, Old Town Road is a great track. It's a massive success. And I think, the influence that it's created in the short time that it did in 2019 is only going to be felt for years to come. And I think, Lil Nas X has a bright career ahead of him, especially if Montero goes over really well. Harry Styles, Sign of the Times. It's a good single. When the track came out, I had a positive reaction to it for sure. I don't really have any problem with this song overall, but with it being at 428, like so far above every song we've seen so far, and right up against Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure, next to it and above it, Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure versus Harry Styles' Sign of the Times in terms of like performance, artistry, and memorability. Like Harry Styles could only hope to be here. Of course, Rolling Stone is going to do everything that it can to make some room for the most popular artists of today, but Super Bass, more essential and greater than literally Rapper's Delight, literally the rubric. And look, not to single out Nicki here, because there are going to be some other songs in general, and of course hip hop songs placed above this that aren't going to make that much sense, but Nicki is literally the artist that's right next to it. So I don't know. It's a bit questionable. No, like 391, Eric Church, Springsteen. I mean, Eric had some shine on the albums list that I didn't quite get, because I feel like while in modern country music, he does hold a place in the grander scheme of country and just, greatest songs, greatest music of all time. I just don't see like where Eric Church enters into the conversation. It's not that I'm going out of my way here to be like an Eric Church hater, but I truly don't have a huge issue with the guy's music overall. But like, have I heard anything that's like blowing my mind or sticking with me on the level of a Coldplay or Enter fucking Sandman? No, absolutely not. Not seeing it. Okay, 381, The Slits, Typical Girls. Typical Girls. I know I haven't gone out of my way to say too many positive things about this list so far, but I'll say, less than halfway in, it's not too bad. There's a lot of safe choices. There's a lot of obvious choices. There are some, track choices from certain artists that I was like, well, why would you pick that song over song X, Y, or Z? But I'm still happy to see the representation, and I'm still happy to see some Slits appreciation here, because this is a great track. It is a post-punk essential, and in the post-punk conversation, I feel like there isn't really enough discussion of the Slits, honestly, and happy to see the band place this high. Fountains of Wayne, Radiation Vibe. I'm not really vibing with this placement, honestly. Like when I think essential rock music of the 90s and the 2000s, my mind doesn't instantly go to Fountains of Wayne. And you have to consider, like, this song comes far after, like, the placement of Foo Fighters' Everlong on this list, above Nirvana's Come As You Are. You're on crack, buddy. Casey Musgraves, Merry-Go-Round. I do think this song comes from an era in Casey's career that I have a lot more love and respect for than, obviously the stuff she's doing recently. But would I place it this high in the list? It's certainly more deserving of space on this list than Eric Church. But, like, would I put it above Merle Haggard and any number of country classics that have come up so far? No. New Order, Blue Monday, 235. Would I have put this one higher? A lot higher, actually. One of the most essential synth pop tracks of all time. One of the most, gigantic and fantastic new wave songs of all time. This should, like, easily be in, like, the 150 range at the very least. Like, yeah, is it close to that portion of the list? But I think it should be higher. All right. Simon and Garfunkel, Lou Reed, Walk on the Wild Side. Bam! At 178, we have Billie Eilish with Bad Guy. And believe me, like, up until this point, and I was wondering when we were going to see Billie, and I figured it was going to be pretty high up on this list. Like, they shot Billie over a really long selection of massive fucking classics, massive classics. I mean, like, Michael Jackson Beat It, and freaking Subterranean Homesick Blues, and Little Wing from Jimmy. This whole page is like nothing but like classics. And then heading up to 178 here, and it's just like, bam, Billie Eilish. I like Bad Guy, and I love this Billie record. I think this is a great record. I think this is a groundbreaking record for pop. I think maybe it's slightly over-eager to put the song and Billie, like, this high on the list. Another dad rock hot take. I mean, Mott the Hoople, All the Young Dudes, is it a great track? Yeah. It's essentially a Bowie track. Just Mott the Hoople, did it. Yeah, I mean, it's a good song. Would I put it at 166 and cut it above literal multiple Bowie classics? No, wouldn't even dream of that. If this was going to end up on the list anywhere, it would be closer to 500. Is it as essential as Changes? Literally Changes? Let's keep going. Okay, so you've literally put Mr. Tambourine Man on the list twice. You have the Byrds version and the Bob Dylan. Why? Just put the Bob Dylan version. It's the superior version. You obviously feel like it's the superior version. We're talking about the 500 greatest songs of all time here. We don't have that much room. And from what I'm seeing so far, and this is most likely not going to change as we, get closer to the top here, there isn't a whole lot of room for metal music and electronic music here, which was also kind of the case for the albums list. Like, could we get rid of the second version of Mr. Tambourine Man and maybe work in some Aphex Twin? I think you could have done Anarchy in the UK or God Save the Queen and pretty much got, like, the point across. Like, is Anarchy in the UK that much better than God Save the Queen? Like, at 118, just almost cracking the top 100. I mean, I guess look, Creep is a classic song, but, like, Radiohead's made way more significant tracks. It's a song that fans obviously, like, appreciate for coming out of the time that it did, but, like, in retrospect, it is also kind of an eye roll. I think Tom York himself, with, like, that weird acoustic remix that he did recently, almost like, in so many ways, like, voiced his own artistic feelings on the song currently. So I don't know, placing it this high, I feel like is a bit much. 95, Oasis, Wonderwall. I mean, look, this is like the level of impact and popularity that I'm kind of expecting of nearly every track from here. So, as much as the song is, like, overplayed to death at this point, this is pretty much what I think nearly every song is going to be, or even needs to be on a list like this. So let's keep it moving. Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone. It's obviously a very catchy pop rock song, and does it have its significance as a very popular single in the 2000s, but in the grander scheme of rock and pop rock, Is it one of the greatest songs of all time? No. This is a moment in the list when we are construing popularity for, artistic value and significance. They are not the same. 41, Love Will Tear Us Apart. I mean, how could you not? It's one of the most beloved rock songs and post-punk songs of all time. How could you not? Lord Royals? Okay, 25, Kanye West, Pusha T, Runaway. I've seen some Kanye fans offended that no way is this 25. Guys, it's literally the top 500 greatest songs of all time. They're taking into account pretty much all the popular music of the 50s to today. For Kanye West to land the song Runaway at 25, and this not even be the only song of his on the list, is pretty incredible. So, I mean, I would, not bitch and cry about this one, honestly. To be frank, there are other Kanye songs I enjoy a lot more than Runaway, but I'm not even going to complain about that. I think if you're a Kanye fan, you should be absolutely happy with this placement. Robin dancing on my own right next to John Lennon's Imagine? Again, this is a moment where I don't really have an issue with Dancing on My Own. I don't really have an issue generally with Robin. But is this a track I'd be like, yeah, man, top 20 greatest songs of all time? This got to go in there. Oof. Aretha Franklin, respect. Okay. I mean, it's a flawless track. Can't really mess with it. Okay, as far as overall thoughts on this list, I don't have too many issues with it outside of some very odd placements of certain tracks, maybe songs that are too high, maybe repetitions of certain artists that were a little unnecessary. Sadly, Rolling Stones seemed to mostly just tune out artists like Nick Cave, Tom Waits. Did I even catch any Travis Scott, despite how fantastically influential he's been to modern hip hop and trap music? We had multiple Drake placements, but no Sicko Mode. I do quickly want to address the methodology of the list, because apparently for this iteration of the top 500 songs, Rolling Stone came through with this elaborate voting system where they had loads of artists and producers and writers come together and decide what are their top 50 favorite songs, and they sort of weighted those choices on a point system. And there are some interesting names in here for sure. Be it 24K Golden, BFB to Pac-Man was in the mix as well. Art Garfunkel, and simultaneously, I feel like this is almost like the issue of the list. Look, even when you're getting great names, great minds, great voices in on voting for something like this, you're still going to run into the issue where collectively you're going to hit some kind of lowest common denominator thing, and finding the thing that we can all collectively mildly enjoy, at sort of a baseline level, isn't necessarily or shouldn't, be considered, I think, the same thing as saying something is necessarily great or even the most essential. With that being said, there are other issues and blind spots that I think are certainly worth highlighting and paying attention to, like the overall lack of metal outside of a few classic artists here and there. You're telling me that you brought all of these people on to talk about this, and there weren't more metal picks than what's here. And on top of it, still a complete blind eye to a lot of electronic music out there. I mean, sure, there are a few house tracks in the list here and there, but no IDM, Aphex Twin's not in the mix, the most obvious electronic music producer of all time, Aphex Twin, not on the albums list, not on this list. You're telling me out of all the people here, nobody's fucking with some Aphex Twin? And even though Rolling Stone did what they did to incorporate some of the great music of, the past decade that we've just gone through, it felt almost pointless in bringing a new list forward because, frankly, I don't think there was enough 2000s representation across this list. I didn't catch any Gorillaz. Nobody was on this list you know what? Feel Good Inc., hell yeah, that's my jam. So, yeah, those are my final thoughts on this songs list from Rolling Stone. More agreeable than the albums list, in my opinion, but still has a lot of the same blind spots and issues and problems. And yeah, there we go. Over here next to my head, it's another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, music forever.